Hi guys, welcome to Robin Hood Diaries again. Thanks for joining me as always. And as previewed, I'm going to discuss all the celebrity kids that I ran with, or at least ones that I can remember. It's sort of a blur when it comes to celebrity kids because my my dad knew a lot of celebrities who had kids, and my mom did too. Totally different galaxies, but I'm going to just kind of run down some of the ones that I had either remarkable relationships with or acquaintances, brushes with, school with, whatever. So here we go. And I'm going to kind of try to go chronologically. So let's go way back when I grew up in Beverly Hills. As you all know, I grew up right across from Beverly Hills High School. We lived in a fourplex that was directly across from Beverly Hills High. The area park for all the hoity-toities in the Beverly Hills area was called Roxbury Park, off of course, Roxbury Drive. This is below Olympic, so this is a little bit further south than the department store Beverly Hills area that you know. Still affluent. Well, I went to Roxbury Park all the time with my nanny, Sandy, who I've mentioned before. And, you know, as a youngster with your mom working and your dad buying antiques, I guess, or acting, I was left, you know, with Sandy, and the park was literally 3 blocks away, not even. And again, like this is like the hoity-toity park of Beverly Hills that everyone went to. So one of my friends, you know, like park friends, like that you hook up with you see there and play with, you know, make play dates, was Jagger. Jagger is Bianca Jagger and Mick Jagger's daughter. Now, again, she was quite young at the time. I'm older than everybody. But we used to play at Roxbury Park. I only remember Bianca there. I wouldn't imagine Mick would be at Roxbury Park. But Bianca was there, stunning as always, as you can imagine, no hat, but looking unfriggin' believable. And I would play with Jade. There's a little kind of, kiddie park area, and then it goes further back into like a kind of a field, and then there's a rec center and whatever. And we would stay in that sort of area where you can watch your kids. It's not my mom and Bianca, it's just Sandy and Bianca, so it's not like they're chatting. I remember with Bianca, with Jade, um, I remember, I'm sure she doesn't remember this, but I used to tell her there was trees around the play area where you watch your kids. And I used to tell her, you know those little smooth spots in trees, like a circular, and it goes beyond the bark and it's smooth. I used to tell her that that's where the owls lived, and that they had little houses in there, little living rooms in there with little owls. Uh, I don't know if that scared the hell out of her from owls or trees, or she found it amusing. But anyway, Jade and I used to hang out at Roxbury Park. Um, Cass Elliott's daughter Owen, this goes a little bit further earlier. I used to hang out, well, a few times at Cass's home in Laurel Canyon. Owen was a couple of years younger than I believe. And, you know, it was the typical hippie, as you can imagine, big, you know, foliage kind of backyard with like a tire swing and all of that. Very not crowded, but it was usually, you know, bustling, I guess, for a backyard. I remember going into the home. I remember my dad going into the home with her. And there were some other things that I'd probably rather not get into with the hippie scene around then there. Nothing nefarious, but, you know, stuff. Marvin Gaye Jr. Marvin Gaye Jr. I went to elementary school with. Now, elementary school in Beverly Hills, if you weren't at Roxbury Park, you were at El Rodeo Elementary School. There were a couple of other ones, but El Rodeo was the public school in Beverly Hills until until I was moved into an all-black school in for fourth grade, where I just wish I was still in fourth grade at that school today. But anyway, so I was stuck in this school, and one of my friends was Marvin Gaye Jr. Marvin Gaye Jr. and I, the thing at that age was to have a club, like start a club, like we have a club, we're a start a club. And so Marvin and I started this club. Like we decided we're both going to just be the club and invite people to be in our club. And nobody joined our club, and it got kind of boring with two people in the club that started the club. And we would sort of run around and cause mischief, but it petered out. No one joined our club. So, but hey, man, it was nice knowing you. Tom Bosley from Happy Days, his daughter went there with me, and I only know because we were both recruited for a fashion show once from El Rodeo, of course. Let's just say I don't know why she would be chosen for a fashion show. Jessica Rich. Jessica Rich was the daughter of Lee Rich. Lee Rich was an immensely famous movie mogul at the time, Laurie and all of that stuff. I spent quite a bit of time with Jessica at her home across from the Beverly Hills Hotel, next to what used to be the Beverly Hills Library, which of course was turned residential. Big home surrounded with foliage. Jessica lived a charmed life. Jessica had basically whatever Jessica wanted. There was a room especially for her where she watched Gone with the Wind like 4 times a day. Had all of the latest kids' furniture, big house to play in when her ironclad nanny wasn't stalking us. And then, of course, the time I mentioned when we snuck into the projection room while and after we saw a movie in their big, gigantic living room of a movie with Mary Tyler Moore and Grant Tinker, and then we had to leave and watch Listomania by Ken Russell in the projection room. That's a majorly adult film. So, then there's Cher. Now we're all waiting for Cher, right? Okay. I went to school, elementary school, after El Rodeo, at a school called Center for Early Education. And Chastity Bono, I know, what I knew as Chastity Bono was one of the students there, along with Diana Ross's kids, my best friend, who was of a famous family, and plenty others. But Cher shows up. We have this carnival, this kids' school carnival every year, and in the summer, and no, spring, who cares? So Cher comes out of the main building, this kind of 2-story brick building, peasant blouse across shoulder to shoulder, but low, you guys, not like here, and gown. I mean, peasant dress, and a big summer hat, and she's got Chastity in her arms. So and there was someone with her, it wasn't anyone. And she's sort of strolling around, checking the carnival scene out, smiling. And Chastity's, was always very kind of timid. And so I am doing face painting for the carnival over to the right. And there's the little booth where kids come in and out, and then I'd make them like the devil or a clown or whatever. So Cher is making her way over to the face painting booth. Now, okay. So she's approaching, my heart is pounding, and she comes up to the face painting booth where I am face painting. And there was a moment finishing the other kid, and then Cher puts Chastity in front of me. Like I could smell her. I could smell Cher. And something quick. It was like, do something cute and quick or whatever. So guys, I made a kitty face. Kitty face like a triangle and lines. And that was basically all I could manage between the hyperventilating. And she watched me do it. I was 12 inches away from Cher for 20 minutes. Well, 10, oh well. And the smile, you guys, with the pushed-in teeth and everything, it's exactly the way it was, the way it is. And so I did that stupid little quick kitty face on her, on Chastity, who, again, was very timid. And Who can blame her? And and Cher liked the kitty face so much that she gave me a shoulder hug. So, needless to say, I didn't wash my shoulder for several years. Anyway, Cher experience is hard to get over, but let's move along. Laurie. Piper Laurie, of course, was the mom in Carrie. She goes way back. She was a starlet way in the 50s, and the name Piper Laurie was given to her. I knew her as Rosie. That's her real name. And was her real name. And Rosie, and my stepmother were friends. And so I knew her daughter, Anne, who was, again, younger. I'm older than every friggin' buddy. And we used to go to their beach home, but it was at the end of Sunset where it hits PCH. So it has sort of this overlook from their home. And we would, it was really lovely. We would have dinner. The kids would play games. And then we would go to the front of her home, which sort of overlooked, well, not sort of, but overlooked the beach, the shoreline, where sunset lets out onto PCH, which is actually a very interesting POV. And I just remember watching her and the wind blowing against her. She was so beautiful. I mean, really, really beautiful, you guys. I did a movie with her called Tough Love many years later, where again I call her Rosie because that's all I knew was my friend's mom's road. She was Rosie. So people on the set, like I mentioned, were like, what? So that was Piper, and I had the opportunity to be in a movie with her, and I didn't get it. That was I was like 12. I don't know. Carol Lawrence. Carol Lawrence was a force to be reckoned with. This is going way back. So if you're like under 50, you're not going to know who the hell Carol Lawrence is. Carol Lawrence was an actress. Carol Lawrence always wore lace up to here. It was like her brand, like some Victorian whatever. Well, my mother did that for her. She would demand that my mother do this like Victorian lace. She always wore these high necklines. And her husband was Robert Goulet, the famous Robert Goulet singer. Well, they also had Christopher and Michael. Christopher and Michael were their two kids, and I just went there, I don't know, 11, I guess, or 12 maybe. And I just remember first the decor punches you in the face because it's all like chartreuse with cherry blossoms. I mean, it was, and then the kids, Michael and Christopher, pounce on you, at least me, not weirdly, but just like, oh my God, a visitor, like that, like they hadn't seen, they were like in seclusion. And my mom and Carol would go do the fittings with the pins up to her chin. And I just remember her kids, Michael and Christopher, always obsessing on Cheap Trick, like, oh my God, Cheap Trick, the band. And I had to listen to Live at Budokan like 3 times, and I had to understand how amazing Cheap Trick was. So anyway, that fitting was over in short order, thank goodness. So moving us towards the end here, so we can not make this 20 million minutes. I was, of course, close with Renee Estevez, who qualifies as a celebrity kid. We did a film together. We had mutual friends. Ramon, I was also a friend. And I was, like I said, I did a movie with her. I was close with her. I was close with Ramon. And so I guess there's 2 celebrity kids there. Those are relationships that are too deep to get into. It would take us forever, but they were very close folks. I guess we'll end it with some kind of awkwardness. I remember at, I don't know, 10 or whatever, I was a lot at this like famous director's home. And he had 2 sons, one of which liked to really kind of get close and like kind of look up my bathing suit, whatever, when I would sit up by the pool, whatever, I know, weird, gross. Another one was the son of a huge department store magnate. Again, same thing, pool in front of townhome. And like, kind of checking me out, like, with the underwear thing. I don't know about that. Whatever. Anyway, that was, I guess, the weird end of celebrity kid brushes. Of course, there's Vanessa Vadim, who's daughter of Jane Fonda. That's all off the table because that's all in my book. There's a whole section dedicated to that. And then, of course, everybody knows the glaring omission of my friend who was the child of a very famous parent. And if you can put two and two together and figure out who that was, you ain't never going to get anything out of me on that one. That's a take to the grave kind of thing. So sorry. Anyway, I hope I delivered a little bit on the celebrity kids stuff. And I'm going to try and switch it up over the next couple shows so you all don't get bored and I don't know, abandon me. But anyway, I love you, and you know that, and I adore your presence and sharing with me and all that good stuff. So I will see you tomorrow. Okay? Bye.